Hare Krishna, welcome to episode 6 of the Bliss podcast. Sorry for the technical issues. So this is Maitreya Rishi Das, your host, here with dear Purajit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Play that gong, Purajit Prabhu.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I was awaiting, in anticipation for the gong.
Sorry.
No problem. So, last time, for those of you who haven't listened to the podcast, of which I'm very disappointed in you if you haven't heard the Tulsi podcast, because it was very nice, a big success. Thank you all for your lovely support. I think we're at 500 views on that last podcast.
Wow.
So, amazing. And even the promo video was getting around 700 likes or 700 views on Facebook, sorry. So it's not over just because the new podcast is out. Please go and watch the Tulsi video. Please go and share it.
Listen and
sorry, it is on YouTube, but yeah,
listen to the Tulsi video.
Use the ears. That's this yoga is hearing. So please let's get it to Tulsi. If someone knows Tulsi, get it to Tulsi. Everyone share on Tulsi's wall. So thank you very much for your support. Speaking of which, on Facebook, we have 800 likes on the Bliss page, Expand the Bliss page on Facebook. So that is amazing. Thank you all for joining and liking the Facebook page. I'm sure you all went on the tutorial that we posted. I'm sorry that we haven't posted yet, but will come out soon, so you'll be more expert on how to invite your friends to the Facebook page. So just a little teaser.
It's very simple. You just click the invite friends, select all, and write them some nice message, and thousands of people will like our page. It's very simple.
It's very simple. So all that work I just did into the tutorial video is now null and void. It's okay.
I still have to work on it, I'm sorry.
So so thank you very much for supporting on the social media. For those of you who don't know, our social media is on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon. Now we've changed the name to make it more easy for everyone. We Expand the Bliss on all the social media. Internet-wide, it is Expand the Bliss, no spaces. So you can go and find us on any of these platforms, support us, give us your feedback, share our pages, like our pages, and check out all the exciting content we have across the social media. So thank you very much. I'd also like to mention, most importantly, you can go on the website, the Expand the Bliss website, and there you can find nice articles. The Prabhus here at Bliss, the monks here at Bliss are writing very nice articles. We also have ebooks. That's right, we have downloadable ebooks. Srila Prabhupada's books are there for download, and also books compiled by the devotees here. Dear Makanchal Prabhu and dear Purajit Prabhu, they've compiled some nice books, how to worship the deity properly, some more controversial ones like why the original books are changed, and some for the meditators out there, some for those of you who call yourself followers of Lord Buddha. The teachings of Lord Buddha is also now available on the Expand the Bliss website on the ebook section.
Teachings of Lord Buddha from the Vedic point of view.
Okay. I'm very sorry for it. So, teachings of Lord Buddha from the Vedic point of view. You can get that for a donation. You can go download it on the website, and we do ask for a little donation. It helps support the activities of Bliss, the preaching activities of Bliss.
Otherwise, the ebooks are free. You can give a voluntary donation.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, we would really appreciate that. And you can also find more content on the Living in Bliss YouTube channel, where Purajit...
Expand the Bliss.
Expand the Bliss. Sorry, old habits die hard. So expand...
You're old-fashioned.
Expand the Bliss Expand the Bliss YouTube channel. You can go there and you can find classes by Purajit Prabhu. He's giving nice classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam every morning. Expand your mind, hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, spiritualize your whole day. Very nice. We give out a class every Wednesday. So, some other activities. What's happening in the Bliss? We have some guests that are attending the temple. We hold programs every single day here in La Línea, Spain. And we currently have some guests. For those who maybe know, living in Gibraltar is Claire. She works at the Integral Yoga Center. And Jade. Jade is is our friend, and she is regularly attending the morning programs. So that's very, very nice. We appreciate regular guests here at the Expanded Bliss La Línea Center. So we're also having an event on this upcoming Tuesday. We're going to be having a program, some chanting, possibly even some cookies. I don't know, hopefully.
Yeah, Paramams is just working on them right now.
Wow, amazing. So cookies are going to be offered to Lord Krishna and then distributed on Tuesday. So that'll be very fun. That's at the Integral Yoga Center in Gibraltar. So in other news, we have, I think maybe some of you have seen, I posted a call for help on the Facebook page. I asked there for a microphone. Because it would be very nice if we could have a microphone to improve the quality of the podcasts. And there are many audio related projects the Bliss has in mind in upcoming times. So it would be very nice to have improved quality for that. Anyone who would like to donate a microphone or help give a donation so we can help the funding of a microphone, it would be greatly appreciated. And that would be a very nice service. So keep that in mind. So after a short break, we're going to be getting into the main thing of this podcast. That is digital Sankirtan. Okay.
Yippee!
So see you after the break. Stay tuned. So welcome back to the Bliss Podcast, episode 6. So I thought, Prabhu, it would be a good point for those of you who are new to Krishna consciousness, or those of you who are already in Krishna consciousness, to get a little refresher. What actually is Sankirtan? Because before we go into digital Sankirtan, which is kind of a next evolution, a revolutionary step in Sankirtan, I thought we may as well cover what actually is Sankirtan.
Yes. So Sankirtan refers to congregational glorification of Krishna. That is the Yuga Dharma for this Kali Yuga age according to the Vedas.
Can I just ask, for those of you who are new, what is a Yuga Dharma? Sounds like a crazy name.
Yeah, Yuga Dharma is the process of meditation recommended for a specific age. It's not that you can choose whichever meditation you want. It's just like there's a sunny weather, so you don't need an umbrella. If there's a rainy season, you need an umbrella. So similarly, according to the divisions of time, now we are going through the Kali Yuga that started 5,000 years ago, and it will last another 427,000 years. So for this age, the Vedas recommend this Sankirtan, that is a glorification of Krishna, and especially his holy name, Hare Krishna.
Okay. So did this Sankirtan come about more recently in the history, or when exactly was this particular form of meditation inaugurated, or who brought the meditation, who introduced it?
Well, it was always there, but it was inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself, who incarnates as Lord Chaitanya. He appears as his own devotee, as a devotee of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya pretends to be a devotee of Krishna, but it's Krishna himself. So he's the father of this Sankirtan movement. And more recently, his great devotee, Srila Prabhupada, has expanded the Sankirtan movement all over the world. So this actually started what is called the golden age of Kali. Otherwise, the age of Kali is quite a dark age. It's the age of deterioration. So within that age, there's a golden period that started by Lord Chaitanya and started by Srila Prabhupada. And within that period, many people will reach self-realization and God consciousness.
Amazing. So, if I get this straight, like a lot of people can reach self-realization, God consciousness within this age.
Oh yes.
Like a whole society of God consciousness.
It's a mass liberation movement.
Wow. That is very cool. So what goes on in Sankirtan? Like, what are the activities of Sankirtan exactly? Because Sankirtan seems like you got congregational chanting, but then there's some other activities, right?
Yes. Actually, everyone can take part in this Sankirtan, because the aim of Sankirtan is to glorify Krishna, glorify God. So Srila Prabhupada even said that even if you do not accept, you have some sectarian bias against the name of Krishna, you can chant the name in your specific religion. If you have some authorized name, you can chant that. You can glorify that name. If you do not have, however, then why not take Krishna?
Very nice.
So we chant, we go out, we chant with mridanga and kartals, as Lord Chaitanya was doing 500 years ago. We can use also other instruments. We can distribute books about Krishna to people who don't know about Krishna and also those who know. We can also pretty much do anything. Even Srila Prabhupada says that those who are scientists, they can also glorify Krishna by explaining the existence of God through science and physics and like that, mathematicians. And so the most important is the desire. We have to have a desire, first of all, to please Krishna in this way. This, we can understand this desire. I mean to say this idea that God or Krishna becomes pleased by his glorification because we are small parts and parcels of Krishna. We also have that quality. You just look at Facebook. Facebook is based on this principle of glorification. You put some photograph and then people put likes on it, or some post, you write something and people put likes on it. So people like to be liked. People like to be glorified. People like to be famous. This is natural because that quality is also in Krishna. So by observing yourself, analyzing yourself, you can to a certain extent understand about Krishna also. So Krishna also likes to hear his glorification, likes to hear his name. But as opposed to us, Krishna deserves the glorification. We do not deserve so much the glorification. One becomes a famous man for some nonsense, for some, some singing or, Lord Chaitanya said the real fame is to be famous as a devotee of Krishna. And a devotee of Krishna never thinks that he is very important. He becomes famous by glorification of Krishna. So if everyone is focusing on glorifying Krishna, then there is no envy. Sometimes we become envious. Oh, this person, he got the credit. I did not get the credit. Oh, this person, he has so many likes on Facebook. I have only one like. And so on. So he has so many followers. I have no followers. And then, you become discouraged, disappointed, or envious, or proud if you have all these likes. So this creates so much envy and conflicts and problems. If we all focus on glorification of Krishna, these conflicts will automatically dissipate. And by glorification of Krishna, you also become glorified and you also become pleased. When Krishna is glorified, just like any devotee, right? We become very pleased when someone mentions Krishna's name or the name of our spiritual master. It's very pleasing feeling. So everyone will be happy when Krishna is glorified. This is the Sankirtan movement.
Yeah, I like this example that Srila Prabhupada gives, that there's many circles and we all have our own circles. And the radius of these circles, they're all interrupting each other because we all have our own personal interests. But if there's one point, Krishna, then that circle, there's no matter how many circles you have within that circle, they never collide with each other. So if Krishna is the center of interest, the center of glorification, then actually everything is a peaceful situation. So yeah. So maybe you've seen the Hare Krishna devotees out on the streets. There's like Prabhu mentioned, the glorification of the holy name of Krishna through chanting, through dancing. You can see groups of devotees with, like Prabhu mentioned, also mridanga, kartal, which are the hand cymbals, and the drums. And there's often a very loud and ecstatic procession of the chanting of the holy names. You see devotees in the traditional, you could say Eastern, brightly colored dresses, and they're distributing spiritual foodstuffs, cookies, whatnot.
It's not exactly Eastern. This is transcendental. This is how people in the spiritual world are dressed. Just like you have a specific dress, so Krishna also has specific dress, and the inhabitants of the spiritual world have specific dress. So it might appear as Eastern, just like the sun is also coming, rising in the east. But it is simply our illusion. It is actually transcendental.
So that's another point, that actually the devotees are bringing the spiritual world into the material world when we're out on Sankirtan, right?
Yes.
So it's like a really lovely experience. You can see people, when they're around the devotees, the chanting groups, the people are also themselves, they're dancing, they're getting into it, they're taking books, they're chanting themselves. So
this is another purpose of the Sankirtan, that this glorification of Krishna revives our original memory of Krishna. See, in our Krishna conscious philosophy, we say that every single living entity is a devotee of Krishna. It is not some sectarian movement that this is our religion and the others, they go to hell. Even if someone is forgetful or envious of Krishna or atheistic, ultimately, maybe not in this life, or maybe not in 10 lives, but ultimately at some point he revives his Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada gives this example, just like a rainwater falls onto the mud, then it becomes polluted, adulterated. But by distilling the water, by distillation process, the water again becomes clean. So right now our consciousness is polluted by all sorts of designations. I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm a black, I'm a white, I'm this, I'm that, man, woman. So when we come to the point when we have no designation, that is actually Krishna consciousness. So this glorification, this Sankirtan, this holy name, and other glorification of Krishna, it revives our memory of Krishna consciousness. So this is how people become devotees of Krishna. Just like, we have become devotees because we have read Srila Prabhupada's books, or we have heard his classes, or we have seen devotees on the street chanting. This is how we became devotee. This is how a devotee becomes a devotee, because another devotee is preaching Krishna consciousness by glorifying Krishna.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the activity that's always going on in the spiritual world, right? So by the people seeing this activity, they themselves are reminded, oh, this is actually my natural function, even if it's just like a subconscious understanding. They're chanting Hare Krishna, they're in the original position.
Just like some people are, they have some accident and they lose their memory. So there are certain things that can evoke that memory. They see an old photograph, they see some movie, and in this way they are reminded of their original position. So in the same way, the more we associate with Krishna conscious glorification of Krishna like that, the more, the higher are the chances that we're going to revive our original Krishna consciousness.
It seems like a very important point that people have this original consciousness revived, because, I mean, this is the real happiness of a living entity, right? So my next question is, can a devotee, can he himself attain the perfection of Krishna consciousness, which is to become a pure devotee? Can he attain that perfection without this preaching? Can he simply stay at home, chant the Mahamantra, eat prasadam, read like that, or does he have to engage in the preaching work to reach perfection?
In this world, everyone is engaged in some sort of service. If he doesn't serve Krishna, he has to serve his family, his wife, his friends, society, like that. Without service, you cannot enjoy. Service brings you enjoyment. You can't, even if you have millions of dollars, if you're alone, you can't render any service, then you're not happy. Happiness is in the association of other conscious beings. So ultimately, that this service propensity reaches its perfection when we apply it properly. We give service to Krishna, who is the root of all existence. He is the supreme whole. By serving Krishna, by watering the root of a tree, automatically all the branches and leaves are nourished. In this way, our society, friends, wife, children, they all become served if we serve Krishna. If we do not reach Krishna, then this service it doesn't go anywhere. We serve simply the external covering on the soul. We serve the body of our wife. We serve the body of our children. We serve the bodies of others in a society by giving them some charity or something like that. So in this way, we can never satisfy ourselves, neither others. So we cannot live without his service. If we do not serve Krishna, then we must serve someone else. So it is highly recommended that we serve Krishna. This is the first point. And Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the famous book of Krishna, he says, Yaidam paramam guyam mad bhakteshu abhidasyati bhakti mai param kitva mam evaishyati asamsaya. And then, nacha tasman manusyeshu kashi me priyakatama bhavita na cha me tasmat anya priyatarog. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, Krishna says, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So, if you want to serve Krishna, then why not listen to what he wants? Krishna says that you become the most dear to him if you explain the secret of devotional service to his devotees. Ultimately, everyone is Krishna's devotee, right? So if you explain to people, if you chant for them, if you don't know how to explain properly, you can chant for them, you can encourage them. Why don't you chant Hare Krishna? Anyone can preach Krishna consciousness. Then you become the most dear servant to Krishna. So, if you say, oh, I want to serve Krishna, but I don't want to preach, then you don't want to be dear to Krishna? What kind of service is that?
Right. I mean, there's even this example that in the spiritual world, the highest servants of Krishna, right? What do they call the manjaris, right? The manjaris.
Yeah.
The manjaris, they're actually pushing the other servants of Krishna to Krishna. They themselves, they don't want anything for themselves. They want to increase Krishna's enjoyment by pushing the servants to Krishna.
They're always expanding the number of devotees for Krishna. This is natural. In any group you want to expand the number of these people, right? Whatever interest you have, you want expansion. Even in nationalism, right? They want expansion of people. They're more Spanish, they're more English, they're more Canadians, whatever. It's natural because the more people, the more enjoyment, the more variety. As I said before, you can only enjoy in the association with other conscious beings. So if you have a variety of these conscious beings, your enjoyment increases even more. So if you are with the same people, you get bored. Every day the same people and they say the same things. But if you travel, you meet other people, your enjoyment increases. So similarly, Krishna also enjoys more when there are more devotees. He's enjoying transcendentally, not like you. He has unlimited devotees. But still, he's pleased when the number of the devotees increases. And he's also very pleased because all these devotees that are here and they have forgotten Krishna, he wants them to come back. He feels for their suffering. They're here suffering by the laws of karma, all kinds of inebriaties. So when they come back, Krishna is pleased. Oh, you have come back. Finally, you're out of this material world. We are here only because of our own desire. We desire things that are not conducive to our spiritual development. We want to get entangled in things that are completely impermanent. And Krishna, what he has to, he simply has to fulfill that desire to give us independence. It is not that Krishna wants us to stay here. So he's genuinely pleased.
And there's another point that I thought of, that Lord Chaitanya himself, who is Krishna, he comes to inaugurate the Sankirtan so people can go back because they're suffering to the spiritual world. And he himself orders that, what is that? Yari deka tarikaha Krishna upadesh, that whoever you meet, you tell them what you have realized about Krishna. Whatever you understand about Krishna, you tell them. And in this way you spread Krishna Katha, talks of Krishna, and then people in the same way, they get reminded about Krishna, they develop a desire to go back to the spiritual worlds. So this, if you're engaged in Krishna consciousness right now, right here in Kali Yuga, this is what you're meant to do, actually, is the preaching work. It is Lord Chaitanya's mission, if my understanding is correct.
Yes, this shloka was mentioned by Lord Chaitanya in connection with this Brahmin, Kurma. So when Lord Chaitanya was passing by, he stopped at this Brahmin's house, and Kurma, the Brahmin, he wanted to go. He wanted to leave his family and go with Lord Chaitanya to preach. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, don't do it. It's okay. You just remain in your place and you preach to your friends and family like that. You be a local guru. And in this way, you will never lose my association. You see, it's very important. By preaching Krishna consciousness, we ourselves remain Krishna conscious. See, it is not that I have to become a pure devotee to be a guru. Some devotees, they say like that you have to be a pure devotee to be a guru. This is nonsense. You must be guru from the very beginning. Whatever you hear, you must pass it on immediately. Otherwise, you become envious. You become just like very knowledgeable. You can become very knowledgeable. This Krishna conscious philosophy is the topmost perfect, but you will not develop the humility. You see, so we must preach immediately. Whatever we hear from the devotees, we must pass it on, and in this way, we remain Krishna conscious. Otherwise, we can lose Krishna consciousness. This is very important.
Can I just ask a point of clarification, Prabhu? Why does the preaching develop humility exactly?
Well, because it is not easy to preach Krishna consciousness. There are so many examples. In the Western countries, Lord Jesus was crucified because this world is not meant for Krishna consciousness. This world is meant for gratification of the senses. So if you explain people about God and Krishna consciousness, then they become, in majority of people, they become disturbed. It's like a disturbance. I am here to enjoy separately from Krishna, and these devotees are saying that there's some higher enjoyer, there's someone who I can never compete with, some God, and we're supposed to serve him. So they become angry, and sometimes the preachers are persecuted. So that you can feel immediately when you start preaching Krishna consciousness, then your friends, your family members, it's quite a, the cards are mixed all of a sudden. The cards become mixed. I don't know.
Yeah, the cards are mixed, yeah.
Yeah, so Prabhupada says it, I have it here. Anyone who is not Krishna conscious, he is dushkutina, mudha. Dushkutina means a miscreant, and mudha means an ass. That's all. We have no difficulty. Just like that urine test. We have got one who has got testing paper, red, yellow, and so on, so on. So we have got this tasting paper, Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada refers to here. I also, when I was a child, I used to go to a doctor, and she would give me this tiny little paper. I would pee on it, and it would make these different colors, and then I would bring it to her, and she would know what kind of disease I have. So Bhagavad Gita and Krishna is our testing paper. Right now, if you don't preach to people, if you don't tell them about Krishna consciousness, everything is seemingly nice, and you are respected and so. But as soon as you start pushing Krishna consciousness philosophy, explaining to people and trying to make them understand, then the colors, they come out immediately. You will see who's your real friend and who is just the person who wants to exploit you. See, this is what people, they realize that, oh, this person, he's a devotee, becoming a devotee, he wants to stop sense gratification, so he's useless for my purposes, because people are after sense gratification. Their friendships and societies based on how to fulfill their sense gratificatory pursuits. So as soon as you develop this attitude of you want to stop sense gratification, then immediately you lose any sort of importance for these people, and they give up your association, and that is good. That's what we want. We want to give up bad association, because in a bad association you develop materialistic desires. See, everything is based on desire. Krishna consciousness, you cannot make any advancement unless you have a desire to advance. So it's very important that we understand this principle, how our association creates a particular desire. I'll give you an example. If you associate with drunkards, people who use intoxication, who smoke marijuana, like that, if you hang out with them regularly, sooner or later you will pick up their bad habits. It is guaranteed. It is natural. So if you want to develop desire to advance spiritually, to advance in Krishna consciousness, you must associate with advanced devotees. This is the easiest way how to, actually that is the only way how to advance in Krishna consciousness. If you do not have a desire, then you can't do anything. So, by associating with devotees and by giving up the association of non-devotees, this is the whole secret of Krishna consciousness. You can become very advanced devotee and reach perfection in this very life. It is not so difficult.
So, have you finished this point, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Because I think this bridges quite nicely into the main point of this podcast, which is that some people might say, well, how, if I'm living in an isolated place, how can I get the association of an advanced senior devotee like that?
Very easy. That advanced devotee is Srila Prabhupada. And he is available to you through his transcendental sound. Bhaktivedanta lives in sound society. That's why we have this name, Bliss. Bliss stands for Bhaktivedanta lives in sound society. And Prabhupada's association is very powerful. But along with Prabhupada, you can associate also with devotees who are following Srila Prabhupada and who need an actual help to propagate the teachings of Srila Prabhupada on mass scale. Those who have dedicated their lives simply for this purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness, then you can also advance. Actually, it is very nice to live with devotees, not just associate once a year, but to live daily. You probably have the experience, Maitreya Prabhu. To live with the devotees is because automatically, if you live with devotees, you eat with the devotees, you sleep with devotees, you do all the activities with the devotees, you pick up their qualities. It's like a disease. Association is like a you get contaminated, so to speak, by the desire, by the disease of love of God. So, yeah.
Transcendental disease.
Yeah.
So I guess like in the kind of in the golden era, you could say, or at least what was the golden era of Srila Prabhupada's movement, there were many established temples and things that when Harinam Sankirtan was going on, people could go to those temples and associate with devotees. And besides that, there wasn't so much of an internet presence. But nowadays we kind of have an internet presence. So in this way we can bring the temple to other people, right? Through expand the bliss, the website, our realizations of the philosophy, Prabhupada's philosophy, the books, everything. We can bring it to people across the internet. Am I mistaken?
Well, yes, to a certain extent, but as I said, living with devotees, this is different. On the internet there's so much nonsense, so many distractions, and how much people can, understand through a reading is questionable, especially in the beginning, right? One doesn't have so much desire or taste to read and hear. So the best is to associate in person with devotees. Those who are single persons, they have no family, and they're working somewhere, they should join the temple. They should, at least for a few years, they should just give up everything, their job and everything, connections, and they should live in a temple with the devotees. Rise early, hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. See, why this temple atmosphere is so wonderful is because the time is plenty. There's plenty of time. Time is saved. So you can practice spiritual life. Nowadays, modern people, they don't even have time. They might have a desire, but they have to go to work. They have to pay the bills. They have to do so many things. They have to deal with family members, this celebration, that ultimately they don't even have time. You need time, Just this sadhana we practice here in temple, it takes 5 hours every day. Just the basic practice of Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name, japamala, reading the literatures like that, discussing. It's a very serious business, self-realization.
So, is the distribution of the preaching across the internet, is that more creating a desire, like you mentioned before? Like people will read the articles, they'll see the activities, and that will create the desire to associate with the devotees in person in the temple?
Yeah, well, the point is that everyone should create such a center in his house. Everyone, if he doesn't have devotees living close by, he should start his own temple, whatever he is. Even if he's working on a job, some or other, he can at least do a little something. But the point is, this temple is not a private place. I was reading the other day on the other podcast that Prabhupada was saying that the deity worship doesn't mean that you offer food and you eat. You must distribute the prasadam. You must call friends. Come to my temple and hear the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hear this philosophy. You read from Prabhupada, you hear from the podcast, whatever you can understand from the bliss devotees, and then you yourself take initiative and preach to people and call them to your place. This is very exciting adventure. So I would like to encourage everyone, please do like this. Don't be lazy. This is not for the Krishna consciousness movement is not for lazy people. It's not like a sense gratification. You must actively participate and do something nice for Krishna.
So what is the meaning of digital Sankirtan then, exactly?
Well, because, see, we follow the philosophy of Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya means that not that you renounce the world, but use it in Krishna's service. Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Devotion, the impersonalists who try to avoid everything material may undergo severe austerities, but they miss the opportunity of being engaged in the service of the Lord. Thus, their renunciation is not sufficient for perfection. There are many instances where, following such artificial renunciation without any contact with devotional service, the impersonalists again fell down and became attracted to the material contamination. There are many supposed renouncers, even at the present moment, who officially become sannyasis or renouncers and outwardly claim that spiritual existence is truth and material existence untruth. In this way, artificially, they make a show of renunciation of the material world. However, because they cannot reach the point of devotional service, they fail to achieve the goal and again come back to material activities such as philanthropic work, political agitation, etc. There are many instances of so-called sannyasis who gave up the world as untruth, but again came to the material world because they were not seeking the real repose at the lotus feet of the Lord. So, I would like to relate this to people who like to abstain from social media. We know that the social media, it can also become like an addiction. People are spending on it so much time. They're neglecting their work. They get into some love affair, or it's very powerful. I would say even a toxic media, and you just being flooded with information. People have a hard time to deal with this new invention. So some of them, they say, no more social media. This is all materialism, and I cut it off, and that's it. But because, as Prabhupada says here, like the impersonalists, they do not develop the attitude of devotional service, after a while, again, they go back to that addiction. You see? So now Prabhupada continues. One should not give up anything which can be utilized in the service of the Lord. That is the secret of devotional service. Anything that can be utilized in advancing Krishna consciousness and devotional service should be accepted. For instance, we're using many machines for the advancement of our present Krishna consciousness movement. Machines like typewriters, dictaphones, tape recorders, microphones, and airplanes. Sometimes people ask us, why are you utilizing material products if you condemn the advancement of material civilization? But actually, we do not condemn. We simply ask people to do whatever they are doing in Krishna consciousness. This is the same principle in which in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna advised Arjuna to utilize his fighting abilities in devotional service. Similarly, we are utilizing these machines for Krishna service. With such sentiment for Krishna or Krishna consciousness, we can accept everything. If the typewriter can be utilized for advancing our Krishna consciousness movement, we must accept it. Similarly, the dictaphone or any other machine must be used. Our vision is that Krishna is everything. Krishna is the cause and effect, and nothing belongs to us. Krishna's things must be used in the service of Krishna. That is our vision. So, similarly, the social media can be used in advancing Krishna consciousness. You see? Very simple. People are wasting their time. They're looking at things that are completely nonsense. And spending time writing a message and this and that, and wasting time and getting depressed. Why not utilize this wonderful medium to spread Krishna consciousness? And let's take it seriously. Let's make it like a sadhana. Let's make it like a commitment. Let me spread. Let me post something Krishna conscious every day, as much as possible. You have friends. You have people who are checking your profile, people who see. So the more you can, propagate Krishna consciousness, the more people will know about it. You see? Now Prabhupada says, this does not mean, however, that we should give up the principles of discharging devotional service or neglect abiding by the rules and regulations prescribed therein. In the neophyte stage of devotion, one must follow all the principles regulated by the authority of the spiritual master. The acceptance and rejection of things should always be in pursuance of devotional principles. Not that one can independently manufacture some idea of what should be accepted or rejected. The spiritual master, as the visible manifestation of Krishna, is necessary, therefore, to direct the devotee on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You see, so nowadays, everyone wants to be guru. This is the age that everyone wants to be prominent. And it's also very easy through the social media, internet. Everyone becomes very famous immediately through a little propaganda. So we should not fall into this trap, because social media is also based on this principle, as I said before, that everyone wants to be famous. So everyone thinks he's famous, right? But it's not like that. You actually very little influence. But this is the illusion. You think that you're influencing many, but you don't have so much influence. So in order for the digital, as you say, Sankirtan, be successful, we should take guidance from devotees, not do independently. That is why we say you expand the bliss. We are organizing the preaching very scientifically based on Srila Prabhupada's instructions. There are many devotees, there are unauthorized devotees who are also spreading their idea of Krishna consciousness, which is not at all according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions. They're mixing things up just to get, some attention. They're using some nonsense concepts. So this is not going to create any auspicious atmosphere. You must be guided by the spiritual master. So that is why we say you expand the bliss. You join the bliss, and if you cannot join the bliss, then you help us to propagate the bliss.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, the internet's already so integrated already. People have a weapon, basically, that they can use to spread Krishna consciousness. I mean, there's so many facilities, so many different kinds of social media. And if Bliss, like devotees like your good self, Makanjor Prabhu, Paramhamsa Prabhu, they're already putting in the work to have all the content there, then people have got the ammunition. They just simply do what they normally do on social media, share, like things, whatever, and then they just reutilize that in Krishna service, and they get benefited.
Yes, by doing that, they become qualified to be preachers themselves. See, there's even a shloka in the Srimad Bhagavatam that by service to a great soul, one acquires the affinity to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. See, as I was explaining before, everything is a question of desire. So if we serve the devotees, then we acquire the taste to understand or to cultivate Krishna consciousness. This is inconceivable to us, but actually it's effective like this.
So this you could say that this is, people might say this is a watered down version of Sankirtan. Some people might say this is not the same thing as Harinam on the streets, book distribution, Prasadam distribution, like that. But in this way, actually, it is. It's on the absolute platform. It gives you a taste for cultivating Krishna consciousness in the same way.
No. It is not that the Sankirtan on the street or Prasadam distribution or temple, that this should be stopped. No, this digital Sankirtan is meant to propagate the real Sankirtan on the streets. And in the temple. It is not that simply on the internet we're going to be, how are you going to distribute prasadam through the email? They have not invented this yet. So that is not the idea, that we're simply stuck on the phone. You propagate to those who have never heard of Krishna. This also I have noticed many devotees, they write this and that, but we have to preach to people who have never heard of Krishna. We have to come out of this cocoon. We have to come and get challenged by atheists, by impersonalists, people who are against Krishna. We have to preach to them. Prabhupada says that preaching means making unwilling willing. This is preaching. Not that someone who is already a devotee, you preach to him, come and join my temple. That is very low class. That is not a very low class, but you should yourself become a guru. And convert others to Vaishnavism.
And another point I'd like to bring up just quickly, Babu, because we have to kind of wrap things up here, but isn't it kind of essential for people to preach to purify themselves also? That they themselves need to go out, Prabhupada says, face opposing elements. And I was wondering if you could elaborate on why the preaching itself is essential for one's own purification.
Yes, because who gives the realization of the philosophy? You might read Srila Prabhupada's books, you might read the Vedas, but if you do not have the realization, it is just like licking the outside of the bottle of honey. See, Krishna gives the realization. He even says, Krishna says, I give the intelligence with a shining lamp of knowledge, right? I give them the intelligence, how to go back home, back to Godhead. So if you do not serve Krishna, if you do not become the most dear servant by explaining the science of devotional service to his devotees, then Krishna will not give you the realization. And then you can read and read and read, you will not realize the philosophy. So what to speak of going back home, back to Godhead? You will not know who is Krishna. So you must please Krishna. How do you please Krishna? By pleasing his pure representative. How do you please the pure representative, pure devotee? By pleasing his disciples. Very simple. Serving of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. This is our Vaishnava philosophy. Not that, I know everything, I will do everything nonsense, and then there's a zero realization. If you follow Prabhupada's instructions, you will realize this philosophy practically. It will not be theoretical. Theoretical, that will not do. You must feel it. You must feel Krishna consciousness.
Jai. Well, I think that's all we have time for today on this 6th episode of the Bliss Podcast. Thank you very much for all who listened. Just a quick reminder on the social media platform. you can propagate bliss, you can engage in digital Sankirtan by sharing and liking the Facebook page, the Twitter page, the Instagram page, the website, the articles on the website, everything there under the header of Expand the Bliss. It's very, very simple. You just like and share to anyone you know.
Or if you do not like, then you write, oh, this article is nonsense. Then you can, then we can fix it. But let us unite. We have to unite, all of us. Not that everyone becomes a guru and, there's complete chaos. We have to unite together and preach together. Just like you have all the sticks together, holding together. No one can break them. If you set them apart, they're very easily broken. So this is the power of association. We're trying to create such an association of united devotees. So come on, let's join.
Jai. So thank you very much for listening to this 6th episode of the Bliss Podcast. Share this with your friends or give some challenges. Please write your feedback. We would very much appreciate it. Thank you so much, dear Puraja Prabhu,
Thank you.
your lovely talks here. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna. See you on the 7th episode of the Bliss Podcast.